You made a decision today. Maybe it was small: what to eat, what to wear, whether to respond to that message or let it sit. Maybe it was larger: a conversation you avoided, a risk you didn't take, a choice you justified to yourself with a clean, logical explanation. And here's what you believed in that moment: I thought it through. I was reasonable. I was rational. But what if you weren't? What if the most dangerous thing about the human mind is not its capacity for error, but its extraordinary ability to disguise that error as reason? There is a particular kind of person we all recognize: educated, experienced, articulate, someone who can construct an argument with precision and defend a position with confidence. Someone who, by every outward measure, appears to be thinking clearly. And yet, this person makes a catastrophic financial decision based on a hunch dressed up as analysis. This person stays in a failing relationship because leaving feels like failure, not because staying makes sense. This person doubles down on a wrong answer, not because the evidence supports them, but because their identity is tied to being right. Intelligence does not protect you from irrationality. In many cases, it makes you better at rationalizing, and that is a far more dangerous condition. In 2002, psychologist Daniel Kahneman received the Nobel Prize in economics, not for a theory about markets, but for a theory about the mind. His work revealed that human thinking operates on two distinct systems. System 1 is fast, automatic, and emotional. It runs constantly in the background, making thousands of micro-decisions every hour without your awareness or consent. System 2 is slow, deliberate, and logical. It is the voice in your head that believes it is in charge. The uncomfortable truth Kahneman exposed was this: System 2 is not the driver. It is the narrator. It constructs stories, after the fact, to explain decisions that System 1 already made. You do not reason your way to a conclusion. You arrive at a conclusion, and then you reason backward to justify it. This is not a flaw in broken minds. This is the standard operating procedure of every human brain on the planet. The mechanisms that distort your thinking are not random. They are systematic, predictable, and deeply embedded. Confirmation bias ensures that you search for information that agrees with what you already believe, and unconsciously dismiss what does not. You are not exploring reality. You are building a case for a verdict already reached. The Dunning-Kruger Effect reveals that the less you know about a subject, the more confident you feel about it, while genuine expertise breeds uncertainty and humility. Incompetence, by its very nature, prevents you from recognizing itself. Anchoring means that the first number, idea, or impression you encounter quietly shapes every judgment that follows, even when that anchor is arbitrary, irrelevant, or deliberately manipulated. These are not rare psychological phenomena. They are happening inside you, right now, in this moment, as you read these words and decide whether you agree. Neuroscientist Antonio Damasio studied patients with damage to the emotional centers of the brain. Logically, you might expect these individuals to become more rational, freed from the interference of feeling. Instead, they became paralyzed, unable to make even the simplest decisions. Without emotion, the rational mind had no direction, no priority, no reason to choose one option over another. The lesson is profound. Emotion is not the enemy of reason. It is the engine of it. But an unexamined engine, running without your awareness, will take you somewhere you never intended to go. This is where most people stop. They learn about biases, nod thoughtfully, and continue thinking exactly as they always have, because awareness without application is just sophisticated ignorance. The real question is not whether your mind deceives you. It does. The question is, what are you prepared to do about it? You now know the uncomfortable truth. Your brain is not the objective, clear-sighted instrument you believed it to be. It is a pattern recognition machine, brilliant, fast, and quietly biased, operating mostly beneath the surface of your awareness. And knowing this changes nothing on its own. That is the trap most people fall into. They consume the information. They feel the insight. They walk away thinking, I'll be more rational from now on. And then life happens. Pressure, emotion, uncertainty, and the old architecture takes over again. Because information without a system is just entertainment. So the question becomes, how do you actually change the way you think? The first and most radical shift does not require a new app, a new habit, or a new philosophy. It requires a single practice discipline, watching yourself think. Psychologists call this metacognition, the ability to step outside your own thought process and examine it as if you were a stranger observing someone else, not judging, not correcting, simply noticing. When you notice yourself becoming certain, ask, what am I not seeing? When you feel defensive about an idea, ask, why does this feel personal? When a decision feels obvious, ask, what would someone who disagrees with me say? And could they be right? This internal pause, this microsecond of self-examination, is where rationality actually lives, not in intelligence, not in education, in the willingness to slow down long enough to question your own conclusions before you act on them. The most effective thinkers in history did not simply trust their instincts. They built structures around their thinking, frameworks that forced honesty when the mind wanted comfort. Steel manning is the practice of constructing the strongest possible version of an opposing argument before you dismiss it. Not the weakest, most ridiculous version. The most intelligent, most reasonable version. If you cannot articulate why someone might genuinely disagree with you, you do not yet fully understand your own position. Pre-mortem thinking asks you to imagine, before a decision is made, that it has already failed, completely, catastrophically. Now, work backward. What went wrong? This single exercise surfaces the risks your optimism was quietly hiding. The 10th of October 10 rule asks 3 questions simultaneously. How will I feel about this decision in 10 minutes? In 10 months? In 10 years? This temporal stretching breaks the tyranny of immediate emotion and forces the mind to engage with consequences it would otherwise ignore. These are not theoretical exercises. They are cognitive armor, protection against the parts of your own mind that would rather feel right than be right. Here is what separates genuine rationality from cold, mechanical thinking, and why the goal was never to eliminate emotion. Your emotions carry information. Fear signals threat. Excitement signals alignment. Discomfort signals that something important is being challenged. The problem was never that you felt. The problem was that you mistook feeling for thinking. The most extraordinary human beings who have ever lived, the scientists, the leaders, the creators, the visionaries, were not emotionless. They were emotionally intelligent. They learned to listen to what their emotions were signaling without allowing those emotions to make their decisions unexamined. Your passion is not a liability. Your ambition is not irrational. Your intuition is not worthless. But none of them are substitutes for deliberate, humble, structured thought. Here is the final truth, and perhaps the most important one. Rationality is not a trait you either possess or lack. It is a practice. A daily, uncomfortable, deeply rewarding commitment to seeing more clearly than you did yesterday, to holding your beliefs loosely, to being more interested in truth than in being right. The people who change the world are not the most intelligent. They are the most honest with themselves, consistently, courageously, even when it costs them comfort. You began this video believing you were rational. Perhaps now you believe something more valuable, that the pursuit of clearer thinking is one of the most powerful commitments a human being can make. And so, before you close this video and return to your day, think of one decision you are currently facing. One belief you are currently holding. One story you have been telling yourself about why something in your life is the way it is. Now ask yourself honestly, is that the truth, Or is that just the version of the truth your mind found most comfortable to believe? Sit with that question, because the answer, whatever it is, might be the most rational thought you have had in a long time.